Hello, hello, awesome humans. All right, I have another one of my signature impromptu special episodes for you. I had no plan on recording a podcast today, and I was just on Zoom catching up with my friend Dave. We haven't talked in 5 years, and he started telling me his story and what he's gone through over the last couple of years. And I said, "Stop talking, because you're talking about an amazing true story of reinvention." I said, "I want to record this as a podcast." So we literally just popped into Riverside. I don't have my fancy mic that you guys usually see. The lighting might be off, but who cares? No one wants perfection. People just want real stories. So here we are. Um, Dave, thanks for being yes man, as the Jim Carrey movie goes, and being gay. All right. So the way that I would describe Dave, and he'll talk about his business. Dave and I met, I don't know, a long time ago on a ship out at sea. I think it was at the Summit Series event. And Dave is the ultimate creator. He's invented and created. He's got like 200 patents. He invented the coolest stuff. We'll talk about it. But what he just started to share with me is kind of I said to him, truth with a capital T, about the humbling process and journey we have to go through when stuff goes wrong and we have to reinvent. So, Dave, welcome to Reinventability.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and sort of like grabbed off the street, thrown into your van, and let's
Oh,
do
yeah.
this.
Let's do it. It's a fun van. It's a pretty cool van. Okay. So,
Yes.
just to back up the conversation we were having off camera a little bit, just can you just share a little bit about what you do, what you've done, and then we can kind of get into
Yeah.
the Barrymore Air Products COVID thing. How about that for a teaser, everybody?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had been a serial inventor and entrepreneur since I was 13. Made my first product, took it to Toys R Us. They knocked me off. I was 13 and they
What was it
copied my
about?
product. It was
What was
called
it
Make a
about?
Mask. Yeah. It was called Make a Mask, and it was a plastic mask that you could repaint over and over again with non-toxic paints, which I learned was difficult to do because the mask was made of plastic. The paints had to be water-based, water and oil. And so it took a lot of work in formulating, but I created a mask that kids could, like, instead of just buying a mask and being like, oh, look, I'm a vampire or I'm whatever,
It's so
they could
cool.
actually paint on it and create, right? Because I love
That is so
creating.
cool. I had no idea. And how old were
Yeah,
you? I'm sorry, say that again.
13. So I was
Wow.
Make a Mask 2000 is what I called it because it was prior to the year 2000. It sounded like the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, they knocked me off, and that was when I started to learn about patents. And since then, um, a lot of different things, but a couple hundred worldwide patents later, a lot of inventions, and several business launches, having great people around me, great partners, a great partner. This guy Mark I hooked up with, and he and I took off together, but it was bootstrapped. Everything was bootstrapped. We had a little agency, so I learned about marketing and advertising. I filmed television commercials, learned how to use a camera. All of that got me into infomercials, where we thought that was the lowest of low. Oh God! But we had some inventions. We did our first one, and we did it with another guy, and it took off. It
What
became
was it?
it was called Torso Tiger. And it was this wheel that you push out and you roll out. It's a core exercise. And it's like, those wheels with a handle,
Oh,
you
yeah,
go
yeah,
back
yeah,
and
sure.
forth. So this one had a cord to help bring you back because, you know, people need assistance to work up to just the wheel. And we were like, wow, we can do this. So we started doing it for other people, big companies, Guthrie Ranker, a lot of different companies. We kept knocking out some number one shows, and we're like, okay, time to crank out Davey the Inventor. And we did a product called the Bun Trainer, and it was
The
a
what?
glute, the Bun Trainer.
Bun tray? Oh, like buns, like your butt.
Uh,
Okay. What was it?
you can Google all these things; they'll come up. This is a gluteus maximus minimus, sides. It hit basically it was a pelvic tilt machine. It put resistance against a pelvic tilt. I took a lot of bar method classes back then, even though it wasn't really bar method back then. It was Lottie Burke. And
Yeah.
I learned, a lot, physiology, trainers and things. Anyways, that was a hit, but the company that we did it with didn't pay us. They gave us one check and then they ripped us off. So we're like, all right, we got to do it all. Built a big company, doing our own infomercials, selling our own products, other people's. And over time, we ended up selling at least $2 billion worth of these innovative hair tools. We got into the hair market
Uh-huh.
because my sister's hairstylist, him, another stylist, and an aerospace engineer, retired, got together and came up with this brush. And they had a prototype that was rough. Everyone had turned them down. Revlon, Conair, everyone turned them down. My partner and I saw the thing and we were like, that's a demo. That thing works. We're on it. We took that, was our first hit in hair. We did like 250, $300 million in a year and a half in 2001, 2002, I think. But there was a learning curve thing with the product and we got knocked off. We learned all these things. Anyways, we moved on and created a product called the InStyler, which was a rotating iron. Anyone could use it. You didn't have to learn how to brush your hair from the bottom up like the other one. That thing took off. It was like in 60 plus countries. We sold it for like 10 years. We sold, well over $1 billion worth of that.
I just
And
have
had a
to jump in here and do my
yeah.
own testimonial on it. So Davey was kind enough to send me one, and he sent me some hair dryers. And I obviously, for those of you watching on YouTube, I don't have enough hair to curl it, haven't in 25 years. But my daughter Mia, who's been on this podcast, you guys probably know her. She has kind of wavy-ish hair, and she loved to either straighten it or curl it intentionally. So when Davey sent one, I was like, "Hey Mia, use this." He still has it. He still uses it. He still
Wow.
loves it. And it was one of those things. I remember seeing her in the bathroom with it, and I was like, whoa, it just does it. Like when you have to, I mean, I used to have long hair when I was a dancer a long time ago, like a whole mess. And I'd burn my hair trying to do it the right way. And you have to do it from the bottom, but then it doesn't stick the right way. So I just want to share a firsthand testimonial. It was actually really innovative and did the thing it's supposed to do, which is so cool.
I tell inventors and people come to me sometimes, they're like, hey, I've got this thing, or it could even be a company. And I always emphasize, make it work. That's the number one thing. If you're going to promise something works, really make it work. Otherwise, just go rob people. Like
Yeah.
it's so important, and make it last. Like people talk about eco. Here's an idea: durable goods that are durable, that don't break in 2 years. Right?
Mm.
Like we've got InStylers I know that are out there. They've been running for over 10 years, and that's a long time for an electric motorized
Oh,
hair
yeah.
tool. So um,
All right. So fast forward. So
fast
you and
forward
so just to give everyone context, I think the last time we talked was right at the beginning of the pandemic, or maybe even a little bit before then.
a little
So
before,
5.5-ish years ago. And
yeah.
this was rock and rolling. And something cool that Davey told me is that they were doing a partnership with Drew Barrymore for this hair product. And it was like, oh my God. So fast forward us to that. Tell us about that. And then
Yeah,
everything
we
works out as we dream.
sales of our regular item had sort of declined a little bit. We were more mature in the market. We were looking to expand. And so we made a deal with Drew Barrymore with her great brand Flower to do their hair tools. And we collaborated with her. She was a joy to work with, by the way.
Mhm.
And we got in everywhere. We got into Walmart, we got into Target, we got into CVS, we got into CVS, which was hard because they had an exclusive deal with Conair. All of these things, we had a huge amount of goods coming in right at the beginning of COVID. And I remember we had a meeting, it was like January or February of 2020. And we were like, this is the year we're going to crush it, because we had such huge projections and we had finally gotten to the point. And I mean, we dialed in all the goods, made sure they were right. I flew to China a bunch of times, by the way. And we thought, this is it. This is it. We're going to sell these. This is it. We're going to sell the company at some point. And then, after a long, hard career, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit. Then all our orders were canceled. We
So
lost all
actually,
our money.
I asked you this when we were talking about before. I don't know if everyone understands. Can you just explain how it works? So you had ordered that. Can you explain how that works? Like you order things before you get
Yeah,
paid by the company, and the goods were actually like in transit.
they were in transit and got trapped because the port shut down. So not only could we not sell them, we couldn't get to them. But what happens is like if you get it, people go, oh, I want to sell to Walmart. Great. Walmart takes your order, but it's really consignment. They're going to pay you for the goods they sell. And if they decide there's something else they want to put on that hook, they're going to send you everything back and you're going to pay for it to come back.
You taking
Okay.
all?
So yeah. So it's you're playing a high stakes game, especially when you're self-funded and a medium-sized, small to medium-sized business. Any size business, it's a big risk, out there in all that inventory and money. But for, a couple of guys with their company, like 50 employees. So we kept everybody, nobody knew how long COVID was going to last. Remember, we were like, oh, this could be 6 months. It could be a year. What is it? We didn't know it was going to shut it down for years. So, we kept everybody on staff. We kept paying everyone, huge staff. And, they were family, like
Of course.
that's the kind of business it was. We were all really tight. People still get together from the company. And so that's, finally we were like, we got to sell this. We got to get out. We can't afford it anymore. My partner and I were like, we're losing all our money. And so we sold it short and that didn't really work out. And so my partner, he had enough. 37 years we'd been partners, great partnership. And I leaned into him for so much. We had become one brain.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
would say, you guys are amazing. You guys are like one brain, but two pieces of it. And he's really good at this and I'm really good at that. We've heard that before about partners.
Yeah.
So he split, which was like, I was like, my partner for my whole career. What am I going to do? And the business is gone.
Mm.
And so I was in this desert and scrambling to figure out what am I going to do next? Because I needed to make money.
Yeah. Well, so
And
this is, so now this is, thank you for, sharing that, Davey. So
yeah.
this is the point we were at where I said to him, okay, stop talking. I want to record all this raw.
Yeah.
Because then you were talking about, and I've gone through failure, business failure. It's a pretty scary place to be when that's been your whole identity and the
Yep.
story you've told yourself. So talk about that. Like talk about the desert because, a lot of people listening are not entrepreneurs. They're not running their own businesses, but
Yeah.
they're at a pivot point where they know something isn't working or something has to change. And it's freaking
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. It's scary. And then, I've always been like a self-starter kind of guy. I didn't work at a lot of places. I worked at really one company for an entrepreneur. But after that, other than like jobs as a kid. Um, and I was like, wow, I'm no longer the CEO. I'm no longer walking into an office building. I don't have all this staff. I don't have a partner. I don't have a accounting department, a CFO, lawyers. All of this is gone. And it's now back to what I was when I was 13 and a kid starting my first business. It's just me. And it's a weird feeling. So I had to not just find him because that's the past and that's a past version of me, but there's a spirit that was there, a belief, right? And people go, oh, I believe that I'm gonna. Okay, there's a big difference between 99% and 100%. That 1% is huge. Sorry, I curse.
That's
Okay,
all good. So do I.
that 1% is huge. Let me give you an example. 99% is you're busting ass, you're doing things, you're going, then you go to bed at night, you get up, whatever. Here's 100%. There's a bear next to you and you got to run. That's 100% to me. That's when there's everything. You see, I left it all on the mat. You're going to leave it all on the mat, running your ass away from that bear, right? A couple of times I ran into bears. I know what that feeling is. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm giving it 100%," it's like, no, you probably run 95 because I know my what I feel like I'm giving 100. That's about 90, 95. But now I'm in this desert. I'm going, what the am I going to do?
Yeah.
And a ton of self-doubt. Like, how did I get here? and all these guys who are my contemporaries, who are successful, my friends, and they're like retirement secure, and I'm going, shit, I'm starting over, and I'm older, and everything is so fast and all this stuff, right? Luckily, I stayed up on technology. I love tech. I've been into computers since I was a kid. So that doesn't freak me out. But I just didn't know if I had it. Do I still
Yeah.
have it?
Can I ask you how
And
old you are? I actually don't know.
what's that?
Can I ask you how old you are? I don't know. We've been friends
Oh,
for a long time.
yeah. No. I am 63.
Because if you're looking at him, he doesn't look at everybody. He's got his cool, and if you're not on YouTube, he's got his cool hat, and he's in LA. Like when I met him, I thought he was in his 30s. So, but the reason I ask you is, we also live in a world where it's very like young, young, young.
Yeah.
7 things you should do by the time you're 40. You have to have and so when you're in your 60s and you're like, I got to start over. I mean, that's a thing.
That's a thing. But then I remembered one of my entrepreneurial heroes, Colonel Sanders.
Tell
You
us.
hear that a lot,
I know
don't you?
him, but I bet not everyone listening. Can you talk about who he is? You guys all know him, but you just don't know his name.
Colonel Sanders was the founder of KFC. He did it in his late 60s or 70s. He had a lifetime, supposedly, he had a lifetime of just not ever really making it on anything. And so he cranked up KFC because he was selling buckets of chicken to his neighbors. Everyone said to him, "You got to go. Your chicken's amazing." And he walked around the neighborhoods, and this is what I believe the stories. If I'm wrong, I'm sure it's going to show up. But and I was like, he did it. He did it when he was really old. He got out there with his buckets of chicken and created a freaking giant empire.
Yeah.
So if Colonel Sanders can do it with his chicken, so can this guy. Even though I don't have chicken to sell, I've sold a lot of buckets of other things.
Yeah.
And it's like a nightmare in many levels because I went to places where I have videos where I videoed myself because I wanted to see what I looked like later when I wasn't in this state. I videoed myself outside my office crying, just going,
Mhm.
how did I get, what the happened? And, it's like, was it a victim video? No, it was just emotion. I was like,
It was true. Yeah, it was a
right?
true video.
Sobbing and doubting and like, this is not how I wanted to end. So the reinventing to me was like getting rid of
Yep.
out of me. I carried a lot of stuff. I love my mom, rest her soul. But what was instilled in me is never be poor. Never be poor.
Mm.
You don't want to be poor. So, I painted as a kid, but I didn't want to be a painter because I didn't want to be a poor artist. I gave up all of that. I went for money. I went for business. And I was like, I'll be creative there. This is like, we've heard this before, writers. It's like, well, I'll write my novel one day, but now I'm going to write copy.
Well, Dave,
Anyways.
I don't know if we had this conversation, but you're looking at me and my art is behind me, right? And if you guys are on YouTube now, just to share our shared experience, I'm a first generation immigrant. I've always wanted to paint, but I never let myself. And also the story I carry from my parents and my ancestors is creative ways to make money, do something solid, right? So I went into
Yeah.
tech, finance, and built companies and took care of my family and was a breadwinner. And I'm proud of all that, but I heard the call to paint my entire life. And
Yeah.
I didn't touch it because you and I were talking about stories. My story about myself was I'm a tech executive. My job is to take care of my family. Art
Right.
is an indulgence, right? Maybe I'll do it when I retire or whatever BS that is. And I started to paint after I had a breakdown when I was 40. When everything went to hell, I was like, well, I might as well do it. And it saved me. It really saved me. Now I'm launching
Yeah.
a career from a place of excitement and abundance, but just for you and me to like, we have that shared experience of, you
Yeah.
know, carrying these stories from our childhood of fear, fear of
Fear.
making enough money. And so we make choices. Again, it's not that I regret things I've done. Like you, I've done a lot of great things, but
Yeah.
so much of it was driven by, okay, you got to do the solid thing that makes money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you and I have that in common for sure. I believe, right? And I want to honor my parents because they did so much for me and all,
Yeah.
so it's like this. that's a heavy thing, and there's no reason to carry it, right? I don't,
That's the thing, just
you know,
talk about this. My parents still alive, and this isn't
yeah,
anything I wouldn't say in front of them. It's not their fault that we picked up these stories. It's not blaming
no,
our parents. They were doing their very best to thrive. I mean, my parents and I
agreed.
picked everything up. We came to America with no money and 6 suitcases, right? And we lived in Russia constantly struggling for money. So they had no other choice. We
Yeah.
as kids picked up these stories, and I think the big reinvention, at least for me and sounds like for you, is we have to reinvent our stories and recognize that we get to make different choices. It's not about
Oh
blaming
yeah.
our parents. It's actually, I think, the greatest way to honor people we love is to be able to choose differently.
Oh yeah. Oh, it is the greatest superpower I think you can have is if you can decide how you feel in the moment, whatever the moment is. And I'm not saying I'm there. I held my dad's hand as he was dying
Mm.
a little over a year ago. And at that moment, I did not have sovereignty to feel anything other than exactly what I was feeling at that moment. Right. But, but we can, you know, fight our way or cruise our way, whatever you want to call it, to a point where we get real with ourselves. We drop the ego. A lot of it was ego. And drop the ego as much as you can. They're hard to drop, right? Um, and after letting that go, it was free. I was free to be whoever I was because I didn't have to talk to someone and go like, "Oh, I've got this company and all of that," which frankly was never like a really big deal for me at all. But I did feel it. I felt
Mm.
proud of myself,
Sure.
right? I wouldn't throw it in people's faces. I'm not that guy. But I definitely needed to get to a point where I could just be like, everything's okay. Like, you just do your thing, enjoy the process. And every step that I do it with excellence, do it with precision, not with effort, but just because you love what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, right, do something else or learn to love it. But certainly grinding, like I hear young people especially all the time, I'm grinding, I'm so tired, I'm grinding. It's like, wow, the product that's going to come out of grinding is a mess. Like, what you want to do is move forward with joy, put joy into your work, put joy into what you do, not just, oh, I'm happy today, I'm doing this thing. It's like, yeah, cool, but joy comes from like this core in me.
Yeah. And I
And
just think,
yeah,
you're talking, Dave, and like my heart is jumping out of me because like these are the words that I now live by. But I had to go through my own BS, to get here, right?
yeah,
So I want to just ask you something before you go on, because I work with a lot of different people, right, to help them reinvent. And there are some people who, they're in jobs that they don't love. Maybe they liked it at some point. Maybe it's just necessity of making a paycheck, right? And I
yeah,
really respect that. Like, I didn't come with a trust fund. I had to build everything I had to build it. I mean, I remember my budget the first year I lived in New York City after college, like coffee and bagels were not on my budget because I had my
yeah,
loans and my apartment. Like, so I know what it's like. Like, you need a gig, and I had $60,000 in loans, and so did Avi, my boyfriend at the time, who didn't have a great job, so I was responsible. So, like, my point is, I really honor that. Like, I've never been one to say, "Oh, follow your passion, money will follow," because that's not the case. So I
yeah.
have thoughts and what I tell people, but I wonder what advice you'd give if someone's, I have this job and I need it to pay, for my kids, my house. How do you honor what you're talking about if you have these constraints and you can't just switch?
You know, it's a lot of times, yeah, you can't turn on a dime, but you can come up with what you want to do. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm working from 9 to 5, and then I got an hour's worth of taking care of the family or whatever it is. And then I really want to make these little pillowy things that look like little animals with scary faces, and I'm going to sell them on Etsy, and we'll start there. Just start, just make one, and then write out a plan, or go on chat or wherever your favorite AI is and say, give me a list of things I need to do, like stairs. just give me a list of things I need to do to get this going. And then don't worry about the whole list. Just look at the first 2 or 3 and start with that. Make prototypes, show them to people, make a new revision. Do that. If that energizes you, before you go raise money and tell plans and rent an office and do all of this stuff and say, everybody, I got this thing going, just do those 3 things. And if those 3 things energize you, I guarantee you, you're going to be up all night. You're going to pop out of bed in the morning, go do your grinder job, come back, and you can't wait to get to your thing because you've got a plan. You got steps you're taking. And yes, plans change, but just take one step at a time and see where you end up. People get lost. I work, entrepreneurs come to me just as friend. I don't do it for hire, but people come to me and they go, Dave, I want to make this thing. And you've started so many businesses. What do I do? And I'm like, what is it? And then I give them I have like these buckets for them to check to see. It's the buckets I check to see if it's a project I want to do and take them through it. And then they get energized. So you'll find the energy, or maybe you'll find,
you're
I want to say
talking
this.
about, yeah, sorry, go on.
Maybe what you'll find is it's not for you.
Yeah.
Maybe what you'll find is just as valuable, which is, I don't make these little things with the freaking faces and they're ugly and people will put them on their keychains. I'm out. I don't want to do it. And that's fine too. Find something that gives you joy and that gives you energy. And then you'll go.
And that's, you're talking, I mean, it's like, I'm smiling with my whole face right now. When I started to realize how did I move into, I was talking about happiness for 10 years and I loved it, right? Stages. I've helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I had this moment, it was my own, everything I teach was out of my own experience where I realized I wasn't excited anymore. I was getting on stage, virtual stage or whatever, and I wasn't excited. And I realized it's because there was something that I had wanted to be talking about, but I wasn't because it wasn't my brand. And it was, how do you actually make positive changes in your life, right? I would talk to people and I teach very skill based and people would listen to me and get inspired, but actually not do the things. So that's how I got to this idea of reinventability. I was like, hold on, I want to teach people actually, how do you do the thing, right? This new thing you want to do, whether it's creating a business or becoming more creative or losing weight or changing jobs or whatever it is, right? I developed this framework and I'm smiling so big because you're talking and you're like literally going through the steps. But one of my core theses is you have to take action. Clarity emerges through action. Confidence, it's like a billion ideas and greatness gets lost in that space between, oh, I want to do this thing, and then, well, but I don't know how it's going to come out. I don't know exactly all the things I have to do. Oh, I'm probably not like that space. And one of my principles is reduce the time between idea and action. You have an idea for something, just start doing it, right? Whether it's your business or people come to me and say, oh, I want to write a book, start writing a blog post, right? Just start and what you're talking about, the same thing, and then follow your enthusiasm. Because the way to figure out if this is your thing is, does it energize you? Or do you go, I actually have a client, and this was such a beautiful experience for her. She always thought she wanted to write a book. And she is in her 60s. So she carried this thing with her. Oh, my dream is to write a book and I'm not doing it. I'm disappointed in myself. And she was carrying this thing on her shoulders. So we started working together and I was like, okay, great. Here's your homework. Write a weekly story, send it to me. And after about 3 months of this, she comes on our Zoom call and she goes, Natalie, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I've been writing and I figured something out. I don't want to write a book.
That's right.
And she was smiling. She wasn't disappointed. She said, this is so freeing because I've been carrying this backpack of regret on my shoulder. Oh, I haven't written a book. I'm not. She's like, I just realized I just want to write. I'm going to do this blog stuff. I think she switched to Substack. Well, I like to write stories and I want to share them. That's what I want to do. And it was this freedom, right? Because it didn't energize her, the idea of a book, but writing. I think what you're sharing is so, again, truth with a capital T.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's
so what are you
action.
up to now? Okay. So I want to know what all this is bringing out in you, right?
Well, it's it really is a desert. You go out into the desert and you will find yourself if you let it go. And stuff comes up, stuff comes out. And what motivated me, why does the person who I've been, who was basically raised and programmed, call it programming, we're programmed, right? Our environment and our thoughts and things that are said to us, all of it sets us up, and we're like these little algorithms or software running around. So I needed to strip that back and go, what's my core? My core is amazing, right?
Mm.
My core is power and excitement and love. Like, and if I just tap into that, I create, and I believe I can create. I'm lucky that I had parents that believed in me and gave me that support and said, you can do shit, even though I was like terrible in school and everything else was telling me I'm a freaking moron. And I am. Don't get me wrong. I still am a freaking moron, but I fake it really well and get lucky. So you just keep driving forward. And so now I'm doing it with new people. I have different partners and different businesses. I have a consulting company called Robots and Donuts, which is stands for R&D. But who wants to see R&D LLC? Like the
I love
world
it.
needs, just like art and beautiful architecture. Who wants names of companies that sound like like so stupid? So Robots and Donuts,
I love it.
and I love both those things. So and then launched a brand for some guys in China who needed help launching a brand in the US. They didn't want to just sell something that was culturally and market wise off. They had a great innovation. They made beautiful product. They were nice guys, a lot of integrity. And I helped them build a whole new brand. And I was like, let's see if I got it. Do I still have it? And the brand took off. I don't know what it's doing now because I was on a 9-month contract, but the products came out great. People loved them, launched. I gave them a 3-year pipeline, blah, blah. So now I'm working with a couple other companies and helping foster growth and an internal organization, which is so important, which is one of the things that I didn't pay enough attention to and made my CFO and my other partner crazy for a while, but focus, organization, planning, budgeting, right? Look before you leap. Don't get that whole entrepreneur. I'm shooting from the hip and making it happen. It's like,
Yeah,
shut up. No, you're not. It's going to be a disaster. Everybody hates you because you keep sending them in different directions when you get excited.
I've done
So,
that. You're talking,
yep,
I'm like, yep, have done that as
yep.
a founder. Yep, check, check, check.
So
Yep.
now I've got that. And this year, very soon, I'm launching a new brand with a
Woo!
whole new product, a new technology for a product that is in the hair business. And what I can tell you is the brand is called Ooh, just exclamation mark. Ooh,
Ooh.
like
Uh-huh.
the surprise, the ooh,
Uh-huh.
right? You open your door, someone's standing there, he's your best friend, and they got cupcakes. Ooh,
Ooh.
what are you doing here with
I
those
love that
cupcakes?
image. Uh-huh.
Right? We love that friend.
Yeah.
And so I have a brand coming out called Ooh, and the products have a technology that will make you feel great as you do different things that you would normally do with other companies' products, but these have a ability to also energize and soothe you. And I'm really excited about it because it's a whole different kind of product and approach. And the company's, the brand's basis is really going to be feeling.
Mm.
That's why the brand doesn't have a name like, like blah, blah. It's, and there's companies with some cool names out there. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's just, this is the name of the company is the feeling we want you to
I love
have
it. I
when you
love it.
use the product.
Well, I
So it's
can't
called
wait.
Ooh.
When is this happening?
This is happening like this Christmas. We'll be
It's
launching
really
prior to
exciting.
Christmas.
I can't
You,
wait to see the products. I can't
oh,
wait.
you'll be getting one.
We're gonna have to get. Well, I still the hair dryers from the Drew Barrymore brand. The ionized hair dryers that you sent, I still have them. I still
Yeah.
use them, even though I don't have a lot of hair. And I told you,
Yeah.
Amina's still using her hair curler, so I can't wait. We'll have to have you back on and talk about it. All right,
I'd
one
love
more
to.
question, 'cause it's what it's such a I so appreciate how just deeply honest you are. Something I've always loved about you. Um, Maybe close with a question that I like to ask my guests. There's a lot of we're at a time right now where everything is changing, right? AI is, I mean, this is the thing. Like the way of life is everything is changing, and a lot of people that I talk to, they're really stressed out by the uncertainty of it. Like, what is my job going to be? Where is my place? You're no stranger to uncertainty and starting over. So I want to hear some of your thoughts or insights or wisdom or advice for people who are like, I'd love to reinvent my life, or I'd love to do this, but I just feel like things are moving so fast. I don't even know what's what.
Yeah. Well, I've used AI now for a while in a lot of different aspects, and I'm going to tell you, it's not us. Okay. Not yet. And I don't think it ever will be. It'll be its own thing. It is its own thing, and it's emerging, right? Right now, LLMs, they're pretty basic, even though they feel very sophisticated to us because the way that we interact with them. Eventually, we'll get there to the ones that are going to be, right? But who knows when that's going to happen? It could be 5, 10 years out. It could be a year, but it doesn't matter, because here's the thing: believe and see a good world in front of you. That's the way. It's the mirror. The world is a mirror. You hit it with a feeling, it hits you back with a reality. You go out in the day and say, like, this is my day. It's going to be a great day. And then something hits your feet or your car's got a flat tire. You'll laugh and you'll go, oh, okay, Dave, let's get this going. And you laugh instead of going, me. Oh, of course the tire went flat. That's what happens to me. Right. So it's the mirror. Whatever things are going to happen, they're going to happen. Shit gets eaten in the wild all the time. It didn't plan on it being eaten that day. And it's not a good day when you get eaten by something above you in the food chain. But let's just say there's no reason to be fearful up to that point or upset up to that point. Face your future with optimism. I tell people, I hear a lot of people call me and go, what do you think is going to happen? And I'm like, we're going to be okay. Don't you think AI is going to wipe us out? No. I grew up in the 60s. We thought nuclear weapons are going to wipe us out. You know why they haven't? Because we're a race of people who care so much about ourselves. We're so self-centered. The human race is not going to let this happen. Not this way. It might be by accident, but we're certainly not going to just drive into this someone hitting the button. We're way too selfish for that. And the other thing is, it's like, it could be I see it as a time of freedom. There's going to be automation and technology, both robotically and mentally, that's going to take away a lot of the stress and strains of things that are like tiresome, grind things, and give us an opportunity to do things that are more aspirational. Like, what the are we? Okay. Like, how is it possible that all these atoms are here and they're moving around and there's more space between them than the stars in space? Like, wait a second, there's so much more to us and life than we see now in our little basic get our needs, do this, be attractive, find a mate. Like, let's go for that. And now we're going to be, the AI is the great humbling, because we're going to have something on the planet eventually that is so much smarter than us. It's like us looking at ants, right? So then where do we go from there? Well, it's just like the desert and reinventing yourself. The human race is going to reinvent itself. Let's make it great. Let's bring it from a heart-centered love place. Stop being afraid of the future and what's this going to do. The media, people, control, we all have heard it. There's enough people talking about it online. All that. Things are going to work out. Find your positive future by seeing it, like, just go for it. Do I have bad days? I had a up day yesterday. Hell yeah. Okay. It was not a beautiful day, but I found beauty in it because I'm here, right? My parents are gone. I have friends, many friends younger than me, gone, right? They're not here. They don't have the privilege to have a shitty day.
Mm, that's beautiful.
So
That's beautiful.
enjoy it.
That's
Let's
beautiful.
go.
You're the greatest. I love you.
Ah,
Thank you.
no,
No,
you are.
No, you're the greatest. And thank you. And thank you for being a yes man and hopping on and sharing so
Yes.
much truth with everyone. And as always, thank you, awesome humans, for sharing a piece of your heart and mind with me. I will be back next week, as I like to say, in your ear and in front of you if you're watching on YouTube. And have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.